So today's topic is something I'm so looking forward to reflecting on with you, Elizabeth. And I guess we might have got different ways of exploring it, but ultimately, as I see it, it's about trusting my intuition, knowing when to trust my intuition, and knowing when I'm getting lost in the noise of a busy mind, a busy thinking. And I've been reflecting on this for quite a few years now, but I know for some people it might be a new area. So I don't know if you've got another way of describing it.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the story. I'm going to start with an actual workshop I ran on leadership, high potential leaders. And one of the first questions we ask is, what would be a miracle for you? That's the context. So, what would be a miracle for you if you could do, be, or have in your leadership? And she said, I'm going to take you literally because I know it's a miracle and I can't have it because it's a miracle. And I've tried everything. And my miracle would be to stand in front of a group of senior leaders and feel confident and not terrified and sick and panicky. And I know I can't do that because this is how I know. I've read every book. I've been to every expert. I've studied every process. I've applied them all. I've done the imagining the audience naked. That didn't work either. I've done all the tips, the techniques, the strategies. I've studied. Do you know what? She said I could write a book on how to deliver a presentation with confidence. So I know I can't. And that was her certainty. 2 weeks later, she says, oh my God, I can't believe it. I just gave a presentation to a senior group and I saw in the moment, insightfully, what it was that I needed to see. It changed everything. And what I saw was it's not about me, it's about the audience and they want to hear it. And up till then, other people had told me that. I knew that as information intellectually, but I didn't see that until I did. In the moment, live, insightfully, my own knowing, clarity, insight said, oh, it's about them, not me. And all that noise went away. And suddenly I enjoyed the presentation because I wanted to give them what they wanted. Everything changed. Now, people had told her before, other people. That's what I call intellectual information. Other people will have had their own answers, experts, there'll be data. All of that is not unuseful. It's very useful. But until we have our own recognition inside of us, our own sense of knowing, our own wisdom guiding us, that is just noise. And this is how I distinguish it. So Emma had her own insightful knowing in the moment, some moment of clarity, some shift in perspective. These are all other words for it. And suddenly she knew something and it changed everything. And it was her miracle. And this is what I think most of us do. We try and change and fix ourselves. We go everywhere else to find the answer. We get lots of conflicting ideas. You should do this. No, you should do that. I mean, parenting. There's just everyone's an expert on parenting. But in the end, none of that's going to help you in the aisle with the 3-year-old tantrum. Maybe, but probably not. Your presence and own knowing in that moment to meet the moment, that's what wisdom's designed for. I call it wisdom. Your own sense of knowing in the moment, knowing in your bones. And that's how I distinguish it. Intellectual knowledge is useful, but it's the servant. Your own insightful wisdom, that's the master. And that's how we know what is ours to do.
Mm. It's a great story and a great example. And I'm kind of going to, I think, add to that.
Please.
And just sort of reflect on what you said as well, because I think a lot of people can relate to that idea of talking in front of people and that sense of fear and what happens. I was talking to um, somebody this morning. It's somebody that helps. It's somebody that helps us out in our house, and she's a lovely lady, And she last week she told us she'd had a really tricky conversation that she needed to have with somebody. And she just wanted to sort of get a bit of reassurance from us. I say us, myself and my husband, and that's what we did. And so today we said, how did the conversation go? And she said, well, she said, I was up all night worrying about it. She said, I couldn't sleep. She said, I felt sick. She said, when I went in there, I felt terrible. I felt nervous. I didn't know what to say. It's like, yeah, how did the conversation go? She said, oh, it was fine. It was fine. She said, but I had, it was really hard and I had a lot of thinking. It was like, but we said, yeah, but how did the conversation go? And she said, no, that actually went really well. It was better than I ever imagined. And that to me speaks to what you're talking to here,
Mhm.
which is we have this incredible system that is highly tuned in to the unsettling, frightening thoughts, insecure thinking
Mm,
that can hijack, almost like seemingly
mm,
hijack us.
mm,
So she, in her bedroom, as she was trying to sleep the night before this conversation, didn't have anybody to talk to. She wasn't speaking to the person that she thought it was going to be a tricky conversation. She was just with her thoughts. And this is what people don't realize is that the power of thought to really hijack and bring up this sense of doubt and fear and insecurity so that you're living seemingly in a future that is frightening. It doesn't exist. That future doesn't exist other than in your own thinking and thoughts. And actually, like you say, when you turn up with wisdom and open heart, and a sense of groundedness, me, we're all designed to beautifully turn up in those moments and be the best we can. I mean, we talked about holding the line for love. It's like for me, it's like that's an example. I can hold the
mm,
line for love.
mm,
That I can do in the moment.
mm,
But thinking about it, trying to work it out, trying to work out all the different things that might go wrong,
mm,
no, I can't do that. And so coming back to what we were talking about,
mm,
which is this real sense is like, how do you know what to trust? Because when you're
mm,
lost in that, I'm going to
mm,
ask you this question.
mm,
Because when
mm,
you're lost in that thinking, it really looks and feels real.
mm,
It's
mm,
frightening. It's like we
mm,
want to do something to protect ourselves and prevent ourselves from getting into a situation that maybe is going to be damaging or hurtful,
mm,
might hurt
mm,
somebody else. So,
mm.
what's your response to that?
Yeah. So I would say this, I've come over 30 years to realize that what we're talking about now is the most important thing. And it's now my role to articulate and share this with other leaders. But the only way I've come to it is with myself. So it's not conceptual, it's a feeling. There is a qualitative feeling in my body when my mind is busy. I feel closed. I feel driven, hyper something, vigilant, active, but hyper something, intensely. But it's not peaceful. It's not the real focus of coloring in. It's got this urge in it, sense of urge, urgency, serious, very serious. It's very serious. And all of these are little signs that I'm not what I call in alignment with my true self, because I know that part of me to be light, unattached, clear, um, kind of the simplicity of just knowing. And wisdom is a present time phenomena. So it's rarely something that comes to me from working out all the things that might go wrong and how I can fix them. That for me isn't about the present time. That's now that doesn't mean that with my own wisdom might not say, hey, it's a good idea to take care of that for the future. That feels congruent with wisdom. But to actively, what do they call it? There's a term for it in business. It's gone out my head, but it's like actively look at every single thing that might go wrong and try and mitigate the risk management. There might be a time for that. Like say if you're setting sail on a boat somewhere, but actually you don't want to live there. You don't want to live in everything that might go wrong and what I can do to fix it. Because you know what? That's endless. We can endlessly think of things that might go wrong and try and fix it. And most of them won't happen. So for me, it's got a qualitative feeling. It's a present, the more present I am. And if I'm lucky, I might notice I'm not present, and that's a clue. But mostly I'm caught up in the story. So my feelings are the best guide. And more calm and settled and present I am, I know that I'm receiving a nudge. For me, it's like, and just the best word I've got is knowing in my bones, I'd say, just a knowing. And it's light often. It's a light, oh, that feels good. It's not intense. It's light. Um, and the truth is in the moment. The wisdom is in the moment. One of the things I want to just say to finish this little piece for myself is we forget that we have this capacity to know what's needed in every moment, and we do not factor that in when we think about the future. Because the version of, let's say the worst thing happens. Let's say the person dies, the job goes, the house, burns. Let's say the kid, whatever it is, the thing happens. Because those things happen. I've experienced death, you've experienced death, loss, unfulfilled expectations, right? Deep disappointments, heartbreak. So the things happen. But what we fail to do is to take into account our capacity to meet that moment when it comes.
Mm.
And that is our own capacity to know to hear our own wisdom.
Mm. A story comes to mind. I love going out in nature, and I was out with my sister. We love walking up on Dartmoor. It's the moorland near us. It's beautiful. And one of the things about Dartmoor is that there are patches on it that are boggy. And you've got to be really careful. There are places where, you could quite seriously get stuck. And we were walking on this walk, and we were going through a boggy patch, and we were being very careful. We could see the clumps. You can see the ground that's stable, and you've got to be very careful about the way you move from each pocket of ground to keep on solid ground. And my sister said to me, she said, I'm going to go first if that's okay. And I said, yeah, of course that's okay. And she said, yes. She said, because if I if I fall in the bog, she said, I know that you'll know what to do. She said, but I wouldn't know what to do. And I was like, I haven't got a clue what I'd do. Yeah, I've never rescued anybody from a bog before. I wouldn't. But what I knew deeply that she didn't know is that in that moment, I've got access to wisdom and I would work out what to do. Like, so I was really happy. It's like, yes, we had taken precautions. Yes, we were going carefully through dangerous ground. And yes, and I knew that she would too. But she didn't realize that herself. But I knew that, yeah, and if something happens and I need to support you, I'll I'll work it out. I don't need to work out all the permutations of what may or may not go wrong. I'll know in the moment. And
Mm,
so for me, that is having that as an extra sort of knowing that I've got that to draw on in
mm,
life
mm,
it's been a game changer, actually.
mm. I love this because we're not talking about something esoteric or strange. We're actually talking about common sense.
Yes.
And that is another word for what we're talking about. It's when you know what to do. It's obvious to you, and you know that you will know and have that common sense when you need it for something that you've never dealt with before. That's faith. But what we have uniquely at this age, Liz, is we have evidence for faith. That's the beauty of the mature older woman. She knows, she's tried and tested. And if she looks over her history, if we look over our past, we'll see how that's seen us through every time, whether we've called it that or known it at the time. But with the wisdom of hindsight, we can see it's always been there, that capacity, and it's served us well. And
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just about to start a session with a new client, and I tend to ask new clients a couple of questions. One is, what would have been the challenges you've been through over the
mm,
last 5 years, and what would have been um, the high points. And I really love the question on challenges because I'm not really interested in their challenges. I'm on an evidence gathering mission because when they tell me what their challenges are, they're also telling me how they've got through them. And I
mm,
want to use that to say to them in future conversations, that bit when you got very poorly and yet you still managed to get up and got the kids to,
mm,
that is what we're talking about. That is your resilience.
mm,
That's not something you had to work out or read in a book. You've
mm,
got that anyway. And so I
mm,
love what you're saying is that sometimes I think we look for this as an esoteric kind of thing, but it's not. It's
mm,
every day. And
mm,
actually just looking back in your own world and seeing like, oh yeah, when that
mm,
happened, when my car broke down,
mm,
I got home. When my child was poorly and I didn't know what to do, I
mm,
took them to A&E. Like I knew what to do in the moment.
mm,
It's just pinpointing those moments and seeing that,
mm,
oh yes, it does. It comes for me too, that wisdom. It's
mm.
there and present for me too.
I really think we need to have another session on everyday wisdom and how it might look. I
Mm,
think that's a juicy topic for another time. I love this topic. It's my favorite. I could talk about all day long. I've loved today, Liz. Thank you so much.
thank you.